You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly ReQua, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly ReQua. Today we're talking to one of our favorite vets, Dr. Laura Brown, owner of Green Tree Animal Hospital in Libertyville, Illinois, as we discuss fish oil supplements for your pet. So the benefits of fish oil for dogs can be surprisingly far-reaching. Welcome, Laura, and tell us about fish oils.
Hi, Polly. Yeah, fish oils have been very trendy to chat about, I think, for people as well as dogs. But the key to the fish oil for dogs, and the reason we like fish oils for dogs is because they contain omega-3 fatty acids. And the two most important omega-3 fatty acids that dogs benefit from are the EPA and the DHA combination that's found in fish oil supplements. Now, the reason they're beneficial for dogs is they're very anti-inflammatory. So the places that we use that would be orthopedic stuff, so like arthritis dogs, and the other big place would be allergy dogs and dogs with a lot of skin issues and itchy skin and reoccurring infections and skin problems. Those are the two biggies. But we do use it some in dogs with other diseases.
And how do you give fish oil to your pets?
So it usually comes in either a liquid supplement that you put on their food or a capsule. So a lot of people take fish oil too, and I don't know if you've ever tried it, but there's 100 different brands of fish oil out there. A lot of people talk about taking the kind that doesn't make you burp and finding one that's doesn't taste horrible and make you burp up fish. And if you take a look at the over-the-counter ones that people can get, there's a wide variety of price and how many you're supposed to take at a time. So for dogs, once again, we don't tell people not to use your own fish oil on your dogs or feed your dog salmon. Salmon's the most natural way to get omega-3 fatty acids for people and for dogs, but to provide an accurate dose or a therapeutic dose, you'd have to eat a whole lot of salmon every single day. Same for dogs. So once again, it's not a drug. It's not regulated by the FDA, which makes you have to be careful. The companies that make fish oils do not have to pass any standards or do any testing to get on the market because it's regulated by the EPA. So you have to be careful about picking a company that uses quality ingredients, that are committed to doing it on their own just because they should, not because anyone's telling them to do that. So that's why probably there's a difference in price. Probably some of the less expensive ones say the label says one thing, but your body can't even absorb them, or the dog's body can't even absorb them or do anything beneficial with them.
Okay.
So that's why it's important to stick with well-known companies. Nordic Naturals is a common one that people use. Well-Actin is another common one that's out there in the animal world. I currently use a company called Veterinary VRS, which is a veterinary-based company that does a lot of research in this arena. And so for animals, I like to dispense the fish oils myself. Derm Caps is another common brand. So I guess I would say if your listeners could at least consult with their veterinarian before they purchase one, because their veterinarian may have one that they like best, that they trust the company, then know what dosages, trust the dosages that are getting in the product.
And so is there a certain age of the pet that you should start giving fish oil to?
So usually it's not as much age connected as it is problem connected. So if you have an itchy allergic dog and he's only 3 years old, he could benefit from it. If you're looking at the fatty acids to supplement arthritis, then we're thinking about a senior dog. There are some supplements for puppies that claim to help with growth and brain development and things like that. But on the flip side of that, I'm also one of those veterinarians that I believe that if you're feeding a good quality diet from a good quality manufacturer, you probably don't need supplements unless your dog has a problem.
And do the dog's breath start to smell fishy?
I don't think so. I used to give my old dog some fish oil, and I would toss him the capsules and he'd gobble them up like treats, but I don't think he smelled. Now I think that's also a product thing, and I think people probably understand that based on the products they've tried for themselves. The pumpy stuff that you pump on their food does have a little bit of a fish odor, I think, and some dogs love that, so then they eat better.
Okay. And is there a certain combination of the EPA and DHA that we should look at when we're at PetSmart, or if we don't buy it through our vet? Good
question. So there's not a consensus on what the best milligrams is per pound or anything like that, but I'll just throw out kind of a general guideline. Like a 50-pound dog, I use this formula, 75 milligrams per kilogram of the combination of EPA and DHA. So the milligrams on the bottle, you add those two numbers up, and for instance, a 50-pound dog is about half of that is his kilogram weight. Technically, he's 22 kilograms. And then I multiply that by 75. So that comes out to be about 1,700 milligrams per day, which is the combination of the EPA and DHA should equal 1,700.
Okay.
It's a high dose. It's a really high dose.
Okay.
It's much higher than most doses are on the labels.
And are you able to give fish oil to cats?
Yes, you can. I tried to give some fish oils to my older kitties for arthritis. It's just that cats are a little bit more finicky about eating things and taking medications and putting the liquid on their food, so they're a little bit harder to medicate than dogs. But they need anti-inflammatories for certain things too.
And so let me ask you this. So as Chuck the pug gets older, he has fish oil, but he's also on glucosamine. Does the fish oil cancel out the glucosamine?
Nope.
Or okay.
Good question. They go together. They're different. They do two different things. The glucosamines and chondroitins are supplements that help the joint fluid, and it doesn't repair cartilage, but it helps when the cartilage is damaged and the joint's starting to get dry and the joint fluid's not as cushy and lubricating. So the glucosamine chondroitin theory is that it helps the joints that way, whereas the omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, are the things that help the inflammation all around the joint. So they're a good thing to use in combination.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the tips. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the listeners?
Nope. I think probably the most important thing is talk to your veterinarian about the fatty acid supplements they carry so they can help you with the dosages. It's kind of confusing. There's a lot out there. It's difficult to choose just doing it over the counter by yourself, but most veterinarians would love to help out and get you on the right track. You don't have to buy the products from them to get their advice.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, and we look forward to having you back.
You're welcome. Good to talk to you, Polly.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.